I just got off the plane from a business trip and ran into my ex-wife's sister at the airport. She asked me when you plan to apologize to my sister after 7 years have passed. Her sister Claire is my ex-wife and a powerful female CEO who dominates the elite circle. But she delayed my mom's treatment until she became a vegetable just for her childhood sweetheart. She also sent my lawyer sister to prison and wished me and my so-called lover a long life together. But I never cheated yet. She hurt me so badly that I was broken inside and out. I fled the capital overnight, and now my ex-sister-in-law is still urging me to kneel and apologize. She even said we should get back together, and I laughed out loud. My kid is already in kindergarten. Why would I get back together with her? She looked at me in disbelief and asked, "What did you say?" "You're married," her voice stammered. It sounded like she heard the most absurd thing ever, and my kid is already 4 years old. I nodded and didn't bother to get too involved with my ex-sister-in-law. I walked past her and was about to leave the airport, but she grabbed me hard and held me in place. I heard her say, "Ethan." "You must be kidding." Her voice became shrill and excited. People around us looked over curiously and she called Ethan again. "There is no way you got married. How could you ever give up my sister? Everyone in our circle knows how much you loved her. You gave up a high-paying job everyone envied for her. How could you marry another woman?" I frowned. I didn't expect her to bring up these old memories to prove her stubborn idea. I did love Claire very much, but that was all in the past. Claire always loved me anything I glanced at more than once. No matter how hard it was to get, it would be delivered to me the next day. Until her childhood sweetheart Luke operated on my mom and made a mistake during the bypass surgery. She felt embarrassed and dropped the scalpel, then ran out of the operating room right away. That caused my mom to fall into a coma and become a vegetable. My sister sued him as a lawyer, and only 2 days later, her law license was revoked and she was charged with perjury, bribery, and defamation all at once. She was sent to prison and quickly sentenced to 3 years. I reported it under my real name, but my personal information was leaked. I became a target of online harassment that everyone could bully, and the one behind all this was my wife of 7 years, Claire, the most powerful person in the entire capital. Watching my mom's vital signs drop and the machines keep beeping warnings. I pressed the call button countless times, but no doctor would show up. Just then, Claire walked in wearing a custom-made designer dress. She appeared elegantly at the ward door and held her phone out to me. She said coldly, "I already dropped the police report. Record a public apology video and mom can have the surgery. Choose whether mom becomes a vegetable or dies," she said in a flat tone. I opened my bloodshot eyes and trembled all over. I finally managed to say just a few words, "Why?" A fleeting look of unhappiness flashed in Claire's eyes, but she still sided with that man. Luke and I grew up together. The surgery was just an accident. Even if he hadn't operated with one hand, mom might not have survived the surgery anyway. Just record a video and say it was all an accident and this will be over. The doctors are waiting in the operating room and I'll get your sister out of prison later, okay? After waiting a long time for my response, Claire lost her patience. "If you don't agree, your mother won't live past today, and your sister will stay in prison forever." Right after she said that, my mom on the bed suddenly started convulsing and the machines kept alarming. The sharp sound pierced my ears and several doctors rushed into the room.
They dragged my mom's bed out immediately and I reached for my phone trembling.
I gritted my teeth and said, "I'll record the video, I won't sue anymore. I'll agree to anything, just save my mom." "She really can't die." Claire gently opened the app for me herself to record a 30-second video for me. I give up pursuing any responsibility and admit that what happened to my mom was all an accident. Then I handed the phone back to her. I asked weakly, "Can you operate on my mom now?" Claire finally agreed, but before she could finish speaking, just then Luke suddenly called out from the operating room. My head hurt so bad hearing that Claire rushed over in a panic. She told the doctors in the operating room to help him walk out, and the accompanying doctors swarmed over. My mom lying on the bed was left alone and I screamed like crazy. "Claire, you said you would save my mom. You can't leave." I ran over and stood in front of Claire, but her eyes were only on Luke. She didn't even glance at me and rushed the doctors into the next room. Seeing my mom dying on the bed, I felt like my heart was being torn into pieces. The sound of my head hitting the wall made Claire glance at me again. She pointed to the ward and sent 2 intern doctors into my mom's room. Then she looked at me expressionless and said, "Your mom won't die. I promised you and I will keep my word." I suddenly felt like I couldn't hold on anymore before I passed out. I only had one thought: I need to leave. I need to disappear completely from Claire's world and never see her again. When I opened my eyes again, there was a card on my nightstand. Under the card was a note that said, "Mom's surgery has to wait a little longer. Luke is in a bad mood lately and can't be away from me for too long. The surgery takes too long and he won't be able to stand it." Reading the note, I suddenly laughed the most desperate laugh ever. I took out my phone and made a call Uncle John. "I agree to the divorce, but I have one request: help me fake my death. I want to take my sister and mom and leave here forever the day I left the hospital." I took the divorce papers the lawyer prepared and went back to the villa. Claire was about to go pick up Luke from the hospital when she saw how pale and tired I looked. A flash of concern crossed Claire's eyes. "Why is your face so pale?" I didn't answer and handed her the papers expressionlessly. "Sign it." Claire was stunned for a moment. "What is this?" She was about to open it when her phone vibrated. She glanced at the message and looked anxious. She didn't even read the agreement and just signed her name on it. Then she said anxiously, "Luke is waiting for me any work contracts in the future. Just leave them in my study." I didn't say anything. I turned around and went to the Civil Affairs Bureau to file for divorce. That night when I was about to go to bed, Claire pushed the door open. She said, as if it was obvious because of mom's surgery, "Luke's reputation in the industry is ruined. I will hold a banquet where you will apologize to him and say mom becoming a vegetable was a normal surgical risk." To clear his name, I thought I had misheard her. I said trembling, "That's impossible." Claire lost her patience. "Don't forget your mom's. Life is hanging by a thread and your sister is still in prison." In an instant, all my resistance was crushed. I had no power to fight her. At least not until we leave with my sister. I have to obey. I closed my eyes. I said through gritted teeth, "Fine. I agree, but you have to get my sister out first." Claire hesitated for a moment, then quickly agreed. But she gave me a deadline 1 month later on the day of the banquet. As soon as I walked in, she kept signaling me with her eyes. I squeezed my palm hard and walked onto the stage with a calm face. Today I am holding this banquet to apologize to Dr. Luke. All the online rumors before were my mistake. I apologize to him. I'm sorry, the audience erupted in commotion immediately. Everyone was blaming me for making Luke suffer from online harassment for no reason. I didn't explain anything and was about to leave after apologizing. Just as I turned around, Luke suddenly called out to me, "Ethan, I left something very important in the car. Can you go get it for me?" I knew I couldn't refuse, so I turned around and walked out of the banquet hall. Just as I reached the car, a loud engine roar suddenly sounded. Several men in black jumped out and grabbed me by the hair. I punched one of them in the face and tried to fight back. But two more men ran up from behind and held my arms tightly. I gritted my teeth and asked, "Who are you?" "There are cameras everywhere," the man in black said with a cold look. "Mr. Luke told us to teach you a lesson. Even killing you would be what you deserve." The man in black pulled my hair hard and slammed my head against the window with a loud crash. The window cracked and blood splattered everywhere. This was just the beginning. Then the second hit the third until the window was covered in blood and glass shards were everywhere. The men in black finally stopped and threw me on the ground. But then the headlights turned on and the car started moving slowly. Just as the car was about to run over me, I heard a sharp voice. My vision was blurry, and I suddenly saw a figure running towards me quickly. Before I could see who it was, I passed out completely. When I opened my eyes again, only Claire was by the bed with red eyes. She sighed in relief when she saw I was awake. "Thank God you're okay. I already found out what happened. It was those medical troublemakers who mistook you for Luke. I already sent them to prison. Don't be scared. Does your head still hurt? Move around and see if anything else hurts," I said in a hoarse voice. "Claire, if I say it wasn't them, I heard that man say it with my own ears. Mr. Luke told them to do it. Do you believe me?" Claire frowned and let go of my hand. "Ethan, you're going too far. Luke is also a victim. If it wasn't for you, he would be the one in the hospital bed today. I promise you. Once everything is back to normal, he'll spend less time with him." Maybe out of guilt, she stayed by my bed all night. She stayed with me like she used to for several days. I was still sleeping. The ward door was suddenly kicked open hard, and then I was pulled out of bed. "Where is Luke? What did you do with him?" I was completely confused. Claire looked furious. She threw a bloody watch at my face. It was the watch I left at the scene last time. "Isn't this yours?" Luke sent me a distress message suddenly last night. When I got to the hospital, he was already gone. There was only this watch on the bed. I handed it back numbly. "It has nothing to do with me." I knew perfectly well it was another one of that man's tricks. But Claire didn't believe me to force me to tell her where Luke was. She took my sister out of prison. She started the car and drove it right over my sister's leg. Blood rushed to my head and my eyes turned red instantly. "Claire, are you crazy?" she said expressionlessly. "Ethan, I'm starting a 1-minute countdown. The car will move once every minute, starting with her limbs if you don't tell me where Luke is in 3 minutes. The last hit will be to your sister's head. 1 minute is up." The car started again and was about to hit her. I didn't hesitate for a second and ran forward without thinking. I stood in front of my sister who was kneeling on the ground and got hit in the waist. I was thrown into the air. Claire rushed over and helped me up. She kept wiping the blood from my mouth. "I'm so sorry." Just then the secretary rushed over and whispered, "Ms. Bai, we found Mr. Luke. He was just hiding." She looked at me, who was barely conscious, in her arms and heard Luke's screams on the phone. The moment the ambulance arrived, she made a choice. Take him to the hospital, get the best doctors, make sure nothing happens to him. "I'll be there soon." I wanted to laugh sarcastically. I tried to smile, but I didn't even have the strength to move my lips. I was in surgery for 6 whole hours and I survived. I called Uncle Robert's house and said in a hoarse voice, "Uncle Robert, are the papers ready? Book me 2 plane tickets. I want to leave immediately after this is done." The day I was discharged, I didn't tell anyone. I didn't go home directly. I went to the ward to see my sister and mom. My sister had comminuted fractures in her hands and feet, and mom was still in a vegetative state. They were in the same room. I pushed the ward door open. I saw a doctor standing by the bed. His back looked very familiar. I suddenly realized something was wrong. I walked quickly to the bed and shouted, "Luke, what are you doing?" I pulled Luke away hard with a thud. A syringe fell to the ground. Luke was startled. When he saw it was me, he let out a sigh of relief. Luke smiled viciously and said to me, "As long as she's alive, we'll be stuck with this shame forever. Only when your mom dies will this be over." I clenched my fists. My eyes darkened and I punched him. Luke fell to the ground. He looked completely shocked. I was about to hit him again before my hand could come down. Someone ran up from behind and stood in front of Luke. Claire shouted my name angrily, "Ethan." Luke was still in shock and it took him a while to react. Claire frowned and helped him up. She stared at me unhappily. "Apologize to Luke right now," but Luke spoke up generously. "Forget it. What's the point of apologizing? He has apologized to me enough times. It's fine. I'll ask for a transfer. I can just avoid him, right?" Luke said and turned to leave. Almost immediately, Claire grabbed his arm. "Luke, then what do you want him to do to make you forgive him?" Luke hesitated for a moment. He said reluctantly, "Ethan seems to be in a really bad mental state. My cousin is a psychologist. He'll send him there for treatment." I thought it would be some big punishment, but it turned out he was just getting me a doctor. Claire agreed immediately, and I was taken to that psychologist's office tied up that same day. When I got there, I found out the man Luke found wasn't a psychologist at all. He was just a pervert who got paid to do things. The next week was my worst nightmare. This man was clearly experienced. He used drugs, electric shocks, and everything he could. His methods were cruel and brutal, but he made sure I didn't have any visible scars. So Claire wouldn't find out I passed out and woke up over and over again for a week. I kept passing out from the pain just as I thought I was going to go crazy. Claire finally came to pick me up. She had been waiting at the door for who knows how long. She frowned and asked, "It's only been a few days. Why do you look so bad?" My face was gaunt and sunken. I was pale and lifeless, but there were no obvious injuries on my body. I didn't answer. I just stood there quietly. Claire opened her mouth to say something else, but her phone vibrated and she remembered that tonight was Luke's birthday. Get dressed and come with me. She didn't wait for my answer and just pulled me into the car. I only had one thought in my mind: it's time. All the preparations are done. It's time for the final showdown. That night I showed up at Luke's birthday party on the yacht just as I walked onto the deck. Luke stopped me at the stairs. "Why didn't you die?" I told the doctor to turn up the electric shock, or did those needles expire? Luke couldn't hide his glee. I ignored his provocation. I just kept texting Uncle Robert about the fake death plan tonight. Following Luke's plan right after I sent the message, my phone was slapped out of my hand and fell to the ground. I smiled sarcastically. Luke, you seem very pleased with yourself. I leaned against the railing. I said each word slowly to hurt him. Luke, do you really think you can beat me? You've been plotting against me this whole time, even willing to use your own life to get rid of me and take my place. Do you know how Claire comforted me? She said she was just grateful to you for helping her when they were kids. She had to hurt me, and once you were stable, she would make you leave. Luke's face turned pale with anger. I laughed and continued. Claire will never love you. You've been childhood friends for all these years, and she never fell for you. She never will. I am Claire's only husband. Do you dare kill me? As long as I'm alive, you will never have a chance with Claire. Those 5 words, only husband, made Luke's pupils shake. He used all his strength and pushed me hard. Claire and I grew up together. How could I lose to an outsider like you? I deliberately let go and let myself fall into the deep sea. The sound of me falling was drowned out by the laughter on the yacht. The tracker in my hand sent a signal. Soon I would be able to escape this place full of darkness, betrayal, and schemes forever. By the time Luke realized what happened, I was already out of sight. His heart was beating wildly. He looked at his own hands. Then he looked at the rough sea. Fear, panic, and all kinds of emotions almost overwhelmed him. But he quickly composed himself. No one saw, so no one will know. Even if someone finds out, as long as he says it was an accident. Claire will believe him when Ethan's mom had the accident. Claire took his side, didn't she? This time will be no different. Ethan, you only have yourself to blame for getting in my way. Claire is mine. She can only be mine after a long time. He took a deep breath. He turned to go inside, but just then a figure appeared behind him. Claire walked quickly over when she reached Luke. Her heart suddenly skipped a beat. She frowned sharply. Her cold eyes stared at the rough sea behind him. She suddenly had a bad feeling. It felt like she had just lost the most important thing in her life. She frowned and asked, "Hasn't Ethan come yet?" Luke walked up to her. He took her hand. "No, I haven't seen him. I've been waiting for a long time. He probably threw a tantrum and refused to come to my birthday party. It's fine. I'm used to it," Luke said casually. His tone made people trust him more. Claire pushed down her worry. Her strange feeling faded away. He is so spoiled if he doesn't want to come. Fine. Let's start the party. Luke smiled even wider. He said, "Okay, as long as you're here, I don't care about anyone else." They walked inside. The catering cart rolled in, and a 3-tier cake was brought in by friends. Everyone sang happy birthday to him. Luke blew out the candles with a smile. He looked at Claire expectantly. My birthday wish is to be with Claire forever. That was a direct confession Luke finally couldn't hold back anymore. He confessed first Claire must divorce him now to show her feelings. Childhood sweethearts are the real deal. The crowd cheered louder and louder. The crowd cheered louder and louder. Claire frowned slightly. She looked up nervously and habitually searched the crowd for me, but she couldn't find me anywhere. Claire's expression turned cold instantly. She felt inexplicably annoyed and looked up at Luke's expectant eyes. She stepped back calmly. She said coldly, "Don't make jokes like that. I'm already married. Ethan will be angry if he hears this. Luke and I are childhood friends. He helped me when we were kids. I will always remember that, but besides that, we have no other relationship. Don't make jokes like that again." The air turned icy. Luke's smile froze on his face. The atmosphere was so awkward, no one said anything for a moment. Claire didn't care. She gave her gift and sat down on the side. She drank her wine uninterestedly. Her eyes kept glancing at the entrance. Even though she knew I wouldn't come, she couldn't help but look. She checked her phone over and over again, but there were no messages. Seeing the chat history still stuck on last month made her feel even worse. Ethan, no one wanted the surgery to happen. It's over now. Luke will be staying with us for a while. Be more understanding.